Good afternoon. I'd like to call the Nash County Board of Education to order for our Pledge of Allegiance tonight. We have the folks from Hubbard, and we are honored and thrilled to have, when I call your name, would you please come forward, please? Braden Silver, Aubrey Jones, Dominique Charles, and Jonathan Bullock. Forward, heart. Colored. Open. Right face. Breathe in. On. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order on. Forward. Heart.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Chair, would you please open this one up with a prayer?
No, we can't do that one.
You can't open up with a prayer? I'll pray real quick.
And we'll take a moment of silence, so we can do that for that opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you. You know, it is a joy and delight just to see the folks out tonight, see the colored art from Northern Nash High School. What a privilege it is to be able to observe that group. And there's a specific reason why we have them here tonight, along with our other guests. I need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
Second.
It's been properly moved by S. Bullock, second by Dr. Washington. Question or discussions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Next item on the agenda is recognition.
So at this time, we will recognize our NCPS heroes. I'll start off with Ebony Robertson and Ezekiel Palacios, nominated for Reliable and Collaborative. I hope I even got close to that name. He did come up, though. An amazing technician is crucial to the daily and overall success of each school. Is that because I didn't say you did his name right? These two have come into our school to cover until a full-time technician is put in place. I'm blown away by their work ethic and their get-it-done attitudes. They have literally taken to the hallways of our school to care for our needs. Ebony even came in and cleaned the space as well as prepared items to return to the warehouse. The space is now organized and functional. Since they both began filling in, we have all felt their dedication to NCPS. They've made a great impact in such a short amount of time at our school. They have also made a difference for me personally by doing their work and doing it with excellence. Rod Whitley, nominated for Reliable and Collaborative. Nash County Public Schools would like to recognize Rod Whitley for his commitment to advancing the district in a way that promotes efficiency across multiple departments. Since April, he has worked alongside the communications department to come up with a long-term solution for our staff data needs. He sifted through multiple options and was a valuable member of our team who analyzed the best way to automate a system and pull together two different technologies to create a solution that will benefit every single staff member at Nash County Public Schools, current and new. While it seems like a simple solution, the programming, coding, and technical expertise required to pull this all successfully is a true asset to our district. We want to commend his willingness to help lead a large-scale change, as well as his consideration to get the buy-in of those who have to help implement it at all schools. CPE considers you a hero and appreciates the work you do outside of the normal scope of job. Rod Whitley. Brooke Crocker, teacher at Spring Hope Elementary. We are very excited to announce that Brooke Crocker, exceptional children teacher at Spring Hope Elementary, has been selected to represent the Nash County Public Schools as our 2022-23 EC Educator of Excellence. Brooke has demonstrated a strong commitment to our EC department. In addition to performing her teaching responsibilities at an exemplary level, she has served in several leadership roles to include lead teacher, school and district leadership teams, and mentor. She performs duties above and beyond her role as a teacher and offers her expertise to assist schools with teacher vacancies and completing special education paperwork. In addition to her teaching responsibilities, Brooke is the mother of 2 young children and the wife of a pastor. She is very active in her children's school, extracurricular activities in church, and participates in various community and mission projects. Brooke was honored as one of the North Carolina Outstanding Educators during our 71st NCDPI EC Conference during the Educator of Excellence reception held last week. Brooke Crocker.
Next item on our agenda is the community partnership, which I'm really proud of that, and what goes on with that. And we have a tremendous amount of partners that partner with Nash Public Schools in our community, and in our area. And we're excited to have one of those partners with us tonight. Another one was not able to attend because of his health, but I'm going to ask our principal over at Baskerville Elementary School, Ms. Newkirk, to come forth and share a little bit as far as what our next community partner has did with their schools.
Good evening. So thank you. A part of the community partnerships that have been established with Baskerville, my goal when I first got to Baskerville was not only to continue those partnerships, but to go and reestablish new partnerships and strengthen ones that may have fallen through the wayside during COVID. So with the help of Bronson Williams, he adopted a community adopt a school campaign. So with that, they gave me connection with the Kiwanis Club with Beth Carlton and Don Bullock. Ray Dodge's helped with picnic tables. A lot of them volunteered and donated with the Fall Fest. Inglewood Baptist Church came in and helped with the school beautification and helping maintain our garden. And also Word Tabernacle also put in some work at Baskerville as well. So, and then with that continual support, I have to say that comes from Showers of Blessing, which is right down the street from Baskerville, under the leadership of Pastor Grant and Lady P, and they have renovated our staff lounge. So if you have not seen a state-of-the-art staff lounge, then you need to come on to Baskerville Elementary and see the wonderful things that they have done. So they support us each and every month with a monetary donation, which has helped us with Student of the Month celebrations and some other things with PBIS. So at this time, I am going to call Pastor Grant and Lady P to come forward to speak more about the contributions at Baskerville.
Hi,
Hello.
like you said, I'm Pastor Grant. This is my lovely wife, Phyllis, and we have made a decision and a commitment to the community, and especially Baskerville is right up the street. The principal has worked with us, and we've been really fortunate. I consider it a precious privilege to be able to work and assist. And I just went before the congregation and said, let's just do something, go over and above this year. And so they said that if we could help furnish the lounge? And I said, well, teacher's lounge. And so we went to work. And when I ate the finished product, I got to give kudos to my wife and those that are at the church. They really, really did an outstanding job. So thank you, principal, and everyone for allowing us to assist, and we will continue to do so.
I had opportunity to visit Baskerville a few times, and Ms. Newkirk and her system, and she took me to that lounge, and I was awed. It's beautiful. You guys did a phenomenal job. Really, really thank you from the depths of our heart. So often some of our schools get overlooked, and that prompted me to ask Dr. Ellis, give me a list of everybody that's partnered with all of our schools. So that's what it's all about, partnership within our communities, getting things done, not just talk about it, but taking actions behind it, which leads me to the next thing that we're going to talk about. And that's basically, I want to personally thank, when I call your name, please stand, the folks from Northern Nash High School, the junior ROTC program. So James Jordan, Mr. Jordan is the one that actually spearheaded this. Because if you remember, he came to this group last month and he said, you know, we're losing programs, and he didn't just come. A lot of times people come to this body with issues, and not with the solution. This young man, this team came with an issue with solutions. So I thank you, Mr. Jordan. And Mackenzie Page, she was right there beside him last month. So thank you, Dylan Jenkins. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins, and David Mazzell. These guys deserve a hand clap. A group is only as good as its leader. And so I'm going to ask Chief West if he'd come forth for a minute, please. One of the things, if in case you're not aware, and I was going to say this for the end of the meeting, but I want to share it with the entire group. The junior ROTC program in Nash County is in trouble. We actually are at risk of losing 2 of our programs. Not 1, but 2, the one at Southern End and the one at North, because we don't meet the criteria set by the United States Air Force. And as a result of that, when Mr. Jordan appealed to this body, I was able to, on October the 18th, to travel down to Washington, D.C., where I had an opportunity to meet with, actually called into Senator Burr, Senator Butterfield, and Senator Tillis' office to talk about, there's a appropriations bill for the NDAA that's going through, that's already been passed through the House and is currently now in the Senate. And so what's going on is I asked Chief West if he would come and share with us some thoughts. And I want to follow up with that a little bit more about some information that I just got today from Megan, and she is the fellow person for Tom Tillis' office. We were not able to get to Butterfield or Burr, but Tillis' office was available to us. So we were able to go in there and have some conversation with him. And this is all because of Jordan and your team efforts to make a need known. Thank you. Chief West.
All right, opportunity. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Dr. Ellis, I've been asked to come before you tonight to give you some insight into multiple areas, but specifically JRTC closures, the impact, and a call to action. On September 20th of this year, myself, Mr. White, and Dr. Ellis received an email from headquarters JRTC stating that our unit was placed on probation because we didn't have the mandatory 2 JRTC instructors certified, which is required by DoD policy as well as law. And additionally, the email stated that if we did not fill that position by the 31st of March, that unit would close next year by 31 May. As of the end of October 31st, actually, I called headquarters JRTC and I asked the question, do we have anything in the system coming our way? They said, no, we don't have any pending applications. We don't have anything in the system. So what happened on 1 November, the Air Force said, what are you going to do, Chief? And I told them, well, I'm going to have to move because the unit looks like it will close. So they did grant me the authority and opportunity to continue in the JRTC program in the state of North Carolina by moving to another position. The impact. I mean, the impact is absolutely devastating. It's more than what happens in here. It's in the classroom, the energy, everything that happens around that. Northern Nash High School JRTC has been around for 42 years. At 100 cadets each year, approximately, sometimes 150, that's 4,200 cadets that learned about integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do, and what it means to be a citizen of character. That void is now going to be there. Who's going to do it? 30 years on Adopt a Highway, multiple parades, VFW support, 50,400 community service hours they have performed. But wait, that's not it. JRTC programs, including the ones at Rocky Mount and other places throughout Nash County and the state, serve as a catalyst for these students to serve and continue on in 4- and 2-year colleges, as well as skilled trade schools, and some even enter the military. Surprisingly, only about 2% do. The call to action. Wow. Fill the void, right? Communicate, communicate, communicate. This board has to start communicating, not just within itself, but from here all the way to the state board education and all points in between, and our state and national lawmakers. There's many of them that have no idea that these units are closing in their own backyard. It's unbelievable. And when they do, they find out, and it's beyond that point of recovery. Headquarters JRTC does not want to close a single unit, but there are situations that are going on in Congress and in the public sector that has forced the hand. Last thing I want to say, and Mr. Sharp spoke to about it, the 2023 National Defense Authorization Act. All those bodies of people who are going to come together need to have that conversation about supporting from the grassroots level all the way up to the Senator Tillis and everybody else to get that passed. Because what will happen is that that act will provide an opportunity for headquarters JRTC to open the criteria and allow them to expand opportunities and be able to recruit more instructors. Ladies and gentlemen, I greatly thank you for tonight and this opportunity to come before. Thank you very much, sir. But most of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to provide my cadets to present the colors today. It's who's going to fill the void, right? Thank you very much.
Chief West, I just want to share with you and your team, I did get an email from Megan, and she's a fellow for Senator Tillis, and I will read that to you, what she sent to me today. Mr. Sharp, we're still in the process and we'll return to session next week. This session is being the House and the Senate, November 14th. At that time, representatives from both chambers of Congress will continue conferencing the NDAA. The goal is to find a compromise between the House version, and you know what, how we talk about the House version, and also the Senate version, which deals with what we need to be dealing with to sustain our schools. And Senate version of the NDA, and to finalize one cohesive bill. Regarding changes that we talked about, the junior ROTC hiring process, Jordan, I think you brought that up the last time we had this conversation. The Senate is amenable to broaden the scopes of eligible instructors. So that's a good thing. Right now, as you know, the instructors must be a retired service member. The House recommends anyone that separates on an honorable condition should be eligible. I'm hopeful that we will find some verbiage that compromise and still allows for a larger pool of participants at the end of the day. So this is still going, they'll come back next week and they'll go into caucusing regarding that. But I also, 2 weeks ago, I had an opportunity to go to the law conference in Asheville, and I had a chance to talk with school board members across the state. And like you said, a lot of these folks are not aware of what's going on in their own backyards. As far as they didn't know that some of their schools were going to lose this JROTC program. As a result of that, what's her name? There you go. Ramona Miller called me today because she said she would have followed up, and she says, Mrs. Sharp, we do have an action item on the North Carolina State School Board Association. They have a conversation for the entire state. She asked me, and the chief that I'm working you on this thing, and we could put together something that they could send out throughout the whole state to make the other school board members aware of what's going on in that system. So with that, sir, you know, one of the things I can't salute you, but I will place my hand to my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, appreciate you. We need to give these folks another round of applause. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is public input. Each month, part of at least one regular scheduled board meeting will be set aside for citizens to address the board with the public comments. Any disruption or any person disrupting this public meeting is subject to action according to General Statute 143, 318-17. If there is any further questions that you have regarding this, please refer to our policy, and that's policy number 2310. We do have a few people that signed up to speak tonight. So the first one is on Zoom, Ms. Kathy Hall. Is she there?
You guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am, that's you.
Okay, got my glasses on. Okay, go ahead, start the timer. Quickly, I've talked to a lot of parents these past 2 months, and a lot of them are concerned about the issues we have in the school with kids bringing in weapons, what have you. I think the main thing is, and I agree, 5-10 day suspension, I don't know. Kids are loving that. That's what they pay from you guys. I think we need stricter policies as far as when they bring weapons, loaded or not, toolers to school. I don't think suspensions are good enough. But I'm going to tell you guys something. I know you had your committee meeting last week, and you talked about, the metal detectors, and that's all good. You're moving in the right direction. And here's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid you're going to talk about it too long, and then one day we're going to be on the news. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. And when we're on the news, people are saying, well, did they have any red flags? Didn't they see anything? Yeah, we're all seeing them. So I really wish and pray and hope you guys get these detectors going, activated, because it's not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. And I don't want any of us being on the news, being interviewed and crying. That would be a shame. Now is your chance to act. Secondly, we all the kids do the work on their computers and or worksheets. I think you guys all know that. And that's fine and dandy. I have in front of me 3 math books I'll just show you. Just math books for my girls from last year, okay? Most of them have about 300 pages. Well, I went through them, and do you know only 25% of the pages are filled in? So I was doing some math. Her sixth grade math book from last year had 20-some pages filled. Now, if we're doing the work on the computer and or worksheets, why are you guys spending money buying these books? I figured if we have an average of, and I'm guessing 70 middle grade students, we have what, 6 middle schools? We have 420, we'll say, students in just sixth grade. I'm guessing you guys spend $10 a book. We're not using them. That's $4,200 a year. Just waste it in trees. I mean, they're empty. They're all empty. I can bring them to school if you don't believe me. We say we have computers, worksheets, and books. I think we're wasting money on books. If you guys want to know the truth. We don't need both of them. And I have 3 girls, so I have 3 times the amount of wasted books. I kept them all. I have them all. It's a shame. So let's get back to the workbooks where the parents can actually help. Or let's do it all on computers or worksheets. But do $4,200 a year wasted on 6th grade math books.
Okay.
Time for the other grades.
Next, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. The next person on the item is Isha Lamar. She here? Ed Quigley. Monica Hathaway. Kenneth Paul.
Ready when you are. My name is Kenneth Path, and my topic today is on school safety with a focus on school shootings. I'd like to start out by asking a question. What is the monetary value you would put on a child's life? Is it $1, $10, $100? Apparently, the answer is $2 to $3, which is the cost of this 2x4. This is what the schools use to brace the classroom doors in the event of a crisis situation such as a school shooter. This is concerning to myself and many other parents because this is all that's keeping someone from getting into your child's classroom. Now, I've spoken to Dr. Ellis and Dr. Farrow in a meeting and was told that this option is cost effective. Is that the only criteria taken into account when trying to keep our children and staff safe? Teachers I've spoken to in the past always seem to say the same thing. I wake up every morning and pray nothing bad happens. It's time for schools to become proactive rather than just reactive. We need better security items and measures in place besides this and the police. And I love our police. I used to be a probation officer, and I was told that our district has a great working relationship with its law enforcement. But I'm sure the same could be said of other school districts who have had school shootings. So what are we doing here that's different from those schools that have experienced that tragedy? I would like to request permission to fundraise, to send newsletters home to parents, and to install some of the security items into schools that I have already purchased, such as door bars, shields, and bulletproof vests that I don't have with me today. I know my ideas may seem a little bit extreme, but people shooting staff and children is even more extreme. And in closing, I would like to say that this is going to take a lot of work, but we've got to start now. And it's going to take the support of the schools, parents, and the community to keep our children safe. And to touch base on what the last speaker said, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And are we going to be prepared or not? Also, I have a Facebook group that you can check out called Nash County Schools Protect the Children. On there, I have a whole bunch of information regarding some of the security items. Thank you for your time.
Our next person is Marletha Muhammad.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marletha Muhammad. I'm the Williford PTO president and also I'm lead pre-K teacher at Williford. And at Williford, our PTSO organization supports many initiatives. We fund breakfasts for all pro dads, muffins for moms. Since I mentioned all pro dads, let me just publicly thank Mr. Bill and his wife and Bill Lanus at operator of Chick-fil-A for donating food for our first all pro dads. Moving on, additionally, we fund our positive behavior interventions and support initiatives, which include Student of the Month celebrations. We also help support field trips financially for all grade levels, so all children can have equal opportunity for various learning experiences. We started a Christmas store so children can buy gifts with fake money they earned during the months of November and December in their classes. This money helps them purchase gifts that are for their parents to teach the principles of giving. We would appreciate donations towards this initiative. We also do a Christmas celebration for the families of our school, which is totally funded by PTSO. Just these initiatives alone cost a minimum of $1,700. PTSO encourages staff morale by recognizing a teacher of the month, acknowledging appreciation days for different staff throughout the year, as well as providing incentives for Staff Appreciation Week. This constitutes another $1,500 or more of our budget. We fundraise as other schools do, but our proceeds have been low this year. I share all this information to say we are here to petition the public to become a partner for our school. If you or the corporation that you are a member of are looking for a great school to donate to, we would love for you to partner with. We would love to partner with them so that we can become a part of the success we are already experiencing at Williford, based on EVAS, or the Education Value Added Assessment System that the state of North Carolina used to evaluate teachers in schools in the 21-22 school year. Every teacher in our school that received the rating was at either met standard or above. As a school, we received an education effectiveness growth type composite score of 2.50, which exceeds growth for that year. Thank you for your attention.
Emily Haley. So that it concludes our public input. Again, I just want to say thank you for those that came and shared information. It's good to hear good things inside the school about them. So what you're to do. I would encourage my colleagues to sort of venture out and do some of the same things inside the schools and just see what's going on inside the school. Dr. Grant, Ms. B, thank you again for what you guys do. I do have something for you if you'd come up for a second, please. In recognition for your service, what's one for you? Something you can remember Nash County Public School. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next item on this agenda is donations.
Dear board members, please accept this request for the following donations. Fairview Elementary School received the following donation. Charles Davis donated $500 to be used for Fairview Elementary students. Rocky Mount High School received the following grant: National Center for Construction, Education, and Research, Stanley Black & Decker, and the Buchel Foundation gave a NCCER Core Toolbox Equipment Grant valued at $6,950 to be used for the carpentry program. Baskerville Elementary received the following donation. Bronson Williams donated $200 to be used for Baskerville Elementary students. Send this to the board.
Mr. Chair, I move that with great thanks, we accept these donations and I make the motion.
It's been properly moved by Dr. Chavis and second by Dr. Washington. Question or discussions? Hearing none, All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Any oppositions? Thank you. Ayes carried. The next item on the agenda is personnel recommendation, Ms. Sheila Wallace.
Board Chair Sharp, Vice Chair Dr. Washington, President and virtual board members, good evening. On behalf of Superintendent Ellis, your approval of the personnel action report is requested, including the amended revisions.
Need a motion?
That we approve the personnel recommendations with the amendment.
Second.
It's been probably moved by Dr. Washington, seconded by S. Bullock. Question or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposition? Ayes have it.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is Administrative Service and Operations Committee. There's a couple of items that we had in work set or committee meetings on last Tuesday. That's Tuesday. And we need a motion. I'm gonna carry these. 3 of them required action. 1 of them is for information. The 3 that require action will be Southern Nash High School roof replacement, Fort Wing, presented by Shannon Davis. The other one was Tar River Academy surplus sale. Also Shannon Davis. And the last one was the budget amendment that was submitted by Mr. Doug Hale. I need a motion to accept those 3 items, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Dr. Taylor, second by Mr. Gray. Question or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposition? Ayes carry unanimously. Next item on the agenda is Student Services, Student Support Services, and Operations Committee by Dr. LaShonda Washington.
The Student Support Services and Operations Committee met last week. There are 2 items requesting approval. One was a lengthy discussion regarding school safety and new security measures started in our high school. And the other one was a technology interactive board and bid purchase presented by Mr. McQueen. I move that we approve these items.
Any second?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Dr. Washington, second by S. Bullock. Question or discussions?
Question.
Yes.
The one for the school safety, would that be the presentation that was made for 8 to 10 times a month? Wanding? Is that where we're at with that?
I know it was the amended motion that we
What-
voted on.
What was that? Do we remember? Just refresh my memory,
We specifically the amount of time.
or what we're voting.
We're voting on the recommendation that the superintendent made for security measures. The amendment that was made was limiting elementary schools, because we weren't ready for that. But proceeding in the high school, eliminating middle school so that there was no interruption in learning. But proceeding with high school.
Were you asking the amount? Was it 8?
It was, I think 5 to 7 in the academic presentation.
Right. Superintendent.
And that was wanding every child. That was random.
Random wanding.
Random.
That would be random wanding, bus riders, walkers, carpoolers, and those students who drive themselves.
And I think what we had also discussion with that, well, no, I think I know. Well, basically that's what we used to do. So we're going back to what we used to for the initial phase until we get further studies.
And there was still going to be training put in. So
Mr. Sharp, just one question for clarification. Is what the board is voting on right now, is that as amended, is that an amended version of what the superintendent presented at your work session last week?
I don't think so, because I don't think he has included elementary school anyway.
Okay.
For discussion, so.
Okay, so basic as you're voting tonight, you can vote to approve the superintendent's recommendation as presented last week. Okay, just double checking.
Okay, any other questions or discussion?
Question.
Yes,
I'm confused. I think what we actually voted on as amended was that we struck out the 8 to 10 times per month, which is what was in the superintendent's recommendation. So the motion that Dr. Washington just presented was the amended motion that left that out. If I remember correctly.
I'm going, I can probably pull it up.
So I may make a recommendation. It may make sense for you to have two separate motions for these two items, Dr. Washington. And your motion for the school safety your motion should specify exactly what is in Ms. Bullock's motion for recommendation for approval.
I cannot remember what I said. Is there a record of the amended motion?
So really should.
I didn't listen all.
Just a minute.
Says each school randomly wand or have randomly picked students to walk through metal detectors 5 to 7 times per month.
That's not the amended one. That's what
The
the recommendation was.
I only
don't
thought
think-
we were not. Thought the only thing we had talked about was if middle schools were having transportation issues, we were not going to address middle school yet.
That's correct.
Correct,
So we start with high schools with 5 to 7 times per month of wanding.
correct. So my motion stands to coincide with the superintendent's recommendation.
Any other discussions?
Not putting, as the speaker said, you know, not putting a dollar on anything about child safety and everything, but have we seeked out any grants that may be available through the federal government in reference to expanding this to the middle schools or cost wise for the high schools and everything?
So we just received state grant for the discussion of elementary SROs starting, hopefully. We'll have that discussion, well, more of that discussion probably next week. We meet with the sheriff's department chief. Thanks.
Any other questions? If there are no other further questions, all those in favor say aye, please. Any opposition? Ayes carried.
There's a separate item.
I think what you just voted on was the combined motion. Yeah, as long as there weren't any changes to it, as long as we're not making any amendments, then I think you just voted on the combined motion to approve both items. Yep.
Good. So next item on the agenda, Academic Services Accountability Committee, Committee Chair Sharonda Thomas Bullock.
So Academic Services and Accountability Committee met, and we discussed two action items that are being requested for approval. The first is the Breckenridge and the second mandatory driver's school contract. I would like to entertain a motion to approve both items.
I move that we approve the item.
I think you make the motion.
Oh.
Approve
both
items.
items.
I'll second.
So it's been properly moved by Ms. S. Bullock, second by Dr. Washington. Questions or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposition?
Yes.
That's carried. That's a 5-second delay, man. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Policy Committee by Ms. Evelyn Bullock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At our last policy committee, we discussed policy 6316, classified employees' duty to drive a school bus. At that meeting, the committee voted to recommend to the full board that we approve the policy as discussed. I would like to say though, since that time, I've had a lot of phone calls and a lot of questions, as I'm sure a lot of the other board members have had as well. And I would like to ask this board if we would not accept the recommendation of the policy committee as presented, but rather that we refer this policy back to the committee for further study, because there were so many questions, and I understand the expediency of doing this policy, but I think when we do it, we need to have all of the information available to us, and we need to have answered questions that a lot of our public has asked us. So if I'm in order, I would make a motion that we not accept the recommendations from the policy committee and refer the policy back to the committee.
So
Second. I said second.
it's been moved by Ms. Bullock, second by Mr. Edwards. Question or discussion? So instead of, I got questions. So is that a recommendation to not to table it, but to decline it altogether? Why wouldn't we?
Well, I think that the end result will be the same, whether you use the word table or whether we just refer it back to the committee. We're doing the same thing. If you prefer the word table, I don't mind using the word table.
Let me tell you why, because you may come back with the same recommendation. And if we table, you give yourself time to have that discussion again with all the information.
But, well then, with that clarification, I stick to what I said at first. We refer it back to the committee.
Okay. Now, any other questions? If not, I got one more, because I'm getting not necessarily calls, but discussions as far as Dr. Ellis sent out an email last week. Right. And that email, can you pull that up for me, sir? You got that email, right? I got it right. So basically, the email says we're presently 20 drivers short. It says there are 7 drivers waiting to start the driver's portion class of CDL test. And we're waiting for DMV to start that process. How long DMV do the process? How long normally take?
That would normally be up to them. Dr. Fair, it depends on when their drivers come available or their trainers become available.
Yes, sir. So it also goes on to say we are averaging 12 drivers out daily from our original driving list. And he says we had 31 call-ins last Thursday. 31 call-ins. 31 call-ins. We are beginning to interview for the director's position. You're doing that now. The policy concerning the TA drivers was discussed at the policy meeting. If we don't feel comfortable with the policy regarding what your recommendations were, then we'll bring it back, what you want to do.
Yes.
My concern is I was driving around, as I drove around today, at 8:30 in the morning, I see kids in the driveway waiting for a bus to pick them up. So if they're waiting for a bus to pick them up, they can't get to school. And I totally understand it, and I agree with you, we can take it back. But at the end of the day, one of the things that this board has always said, correct me if I'm wrong, make the main thing what? The main thing. And what's the main thing, Dr. Tavis?
It's the children, but then you will ask for my comment.
No, it's okay. I just want to bring it up, and it's open for comment and discussion. You know what I mean? So I just want to share that.
May I?
Yes, ma'am.
In response to that, Mr. Chair, I hope this board and our constituencies know that I don't make this recommendation lightly. I understand, as I said earlier, the expediency of this policy, but I also know that with all the conversations that we have received, we need to pause and look at what we're doing, because we don't want to do something tonight and then regret that we did not follow through on some questions that we've been asked. We need answers to some of those questions, to all of those questions, really. And we don't have the answers to those questions yet. So that is the reason that I asked this board to let us go back and revisit. Yeah, I want our kids in school. I want our kids in school on time. I don't want our children standing out waiting on a bus that never comes. But if we rush through this and make the wrong decision, we'll be revisiting this issue in a couple of months. So I say take the time before, so that once we do it right, and then we won't have the issues that we would have if we proceeded right now.
And I think key to this is just making sure we have effective communication throughout the district. So Dr. Ellis, you communicating with the TAs, but I know what their concerns are. But at the same time, I know what the concerns are when I see, I'll be like my colleague, Mr. Lamb says now, we need to make sure we get those kids in school. Any other questions or discussions? I thought you
Well, now that you call my name. Some of this is common sense. We have tried this before. How we handle it has a lot to do with how the community receives things. And I think right now, we know it is an urgent matter. It's not only just our system, it's all the way across the state. But it's no harm in Nash County schools leading the way to do this right. Because as this book said, if we rush it, my granddad said you can cut off your nose to spite your face. And what may come back to bite us later is going to be hard to regroup from. I am in an area where kids are out as early as 5:15 to catch a bus, which is way too early for any elementary school. But you have to stop and think. That means that bus driver got up at 3:30. That bus is already cranked and warming up by 4:30, and she's picking up the first child by 5:15. That also puts that bus driver getting home at 7 at night, and she also has a kindergarten student. So we have to be careful when we make ultimatums on people who are already extremely dedicated, extremely tired. They understand the frustration already because they're knowing that their dedication is to have our kids safe in school, whether they are assisting a teacher or if they're currently driving a bus. And the thing is, you can spread it so thin that you can actually lose, because right now it's not an employer's market, it's an employee market. Everybody has a help wanted sign up or help needed sign. And a lot of the spouses to some of the people I've talked to said, it's not worth it. You can come home and sit down. So we have to be careful because they are dedicated to the kids. That's why they're in it. They're not in it for the money, obviously. So I think we do have a lot of questions that need to be answered. I do understand the urgency. It's frightening how many people are getting to school late. And I'm concerned about the kids. But we got to move cautiously just a little bit longer to make sure we don't make a mistake.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that comment. Any other questions or discussions?
Yeah, in agreement with the bus stuff. I think we need to look at positive situations or outcomes like perfect attendance. They might deserve a stipend. But the thing that floored me was, we're 20 bus drivers short and 31 called in. And I know the extenuating circumstances, but I'm from the southern end and we've always had a bus problem. Even when I was routing buses many years ago, we'd always have maybe 2 or 3 bus drivers. They'd call in on Monday or either call in on Friday saying they could not drive, but we couldn't do anything about it because we never had a surplus of drivers. We need to reward the good one, make sure the pay scale with 37.5 hours or 40 hours is fine, but we need to have enough leeway. If we got somebody that's detrimental to our crew, we need to be able to dismiss it.
Yeah. And
it's just like I've told some folks, this all started about 5 superintendents ago when our TAs were lied to. They said, if you get your bus license, you only drive for your home school or your school. Well, I had some kindergarten and first grade assistants at Spring Hope. They were told they had to drive for middle school and high school. They did not have a clue about bus discipline. And they were terrified. And that's one thing we all need to look at. We have zero tolerance on buses. Because a child can misbehave in the classroom and get sent to the office, and they have in-school suspension. A child can misbehave with 30+ students on a bus and cause a wreck, and somebody gets seriously hurt. We need to have a good committee meeting, and we situate your positive with the negative.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb. Any other discussions? Let me first of all say we vote. I appreciate all the healthy comments, and this is what we do. This is the purpose of this board, to actually have those discussions. Some of them are hard, some of them are tough, but you go with what's best for our children in our district. So thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded that we, what was it? How do we word it?
That we refer the policy back to the committee for further work.
And if there's no further questions or discussions, all those in favor say aye. Any opposition? No opposition, so it will be referred back to the committee. Thank you, Ms. Bullock, for that information.
And a point of information, the committee will meet on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. It was scheduled for tomorrow, but because tomorrow is election day, we moved it to Wednesday.
Next item on the agenda is superintendent's report.
So good evening. Got a few announcements. Parents are encouraged to visit our website and view our strategic plan. It'll be up there for 30 days. If you have any input, it'd be greatly appreciated. So please visit the site. Upcoming dates, November 9th, 6 to 7 is Connect, Form, Engage. Thursday is Early Release Day, and students will be out of school Friday for Veterans Day. And I do want to congratulate all elementary schools. We were told by the state that all K-2 schools exceeded growth on state testing requirements this year. So that's a great job. We outpaced the state. So when I get to say that, I'm going to say it to everybody. Thank you. I'm ending on a high note.
If I may carry that high note on, we do have a joint committee meeting with the commissioners on November 21st. I think Sharita has sent that information out. We also have people that are going to the North Carolina School Board Association's annual conference, and that's going to be next week, Sharita. So some of you, for those that are delegates, one of the things that we do want to talk about, reemphasize again, is basically the junior ROTC program. We want to make sure we get the word out. I also want to say to each and every board member, you have responsibility to talk to your congressmen, to talk to your senators, to talk to your House representatives, and talk to them about what's going on with junior ROTC program. Right now, Southern Nash is on the verge of being shut down. No ROTC, junior ROTC program. We heard Mr. Chief West talk about the Northern Nash program. We don't want that. We fight hard, we struggle hard for athletics. This is more important than athletics because this instills in those kids the qualities that Chief West talked about today. You never know how it will impact a young person coming in who may be wayward, but yet when they come into that program and the discipline that comes with it, is second to none. So board members, colleagues, it's our responsibility to reach out, pick up the phone, call people and says, hey, there's an NDAA that's going through legislation. And I think according to Megan in December, we need to be writing, calling your senators, whether it be Tillis, Burr, Butterfield, whoever it might be, call them and let them know. And as Ricky said, there ain't no Burr. Somebody's got it. Somebody's got that spot. Somebody's doing that spot. They still got office. Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible to get email talking points for that?
Absolutely, I'll get those out. for you.
Okay.
I'll get it out. And that's exactly what we're sending out to Ramona tomorrow. When I send out to her, I'll send out to this board and she'll send it out across the state. Those talking points were there. So with that said, I would encourage each and every board member also to visit your schools. There's a lot of great activities going on inside these schools, a whole lot of community participations. The stuff that the academic groups are doing are phenomenal. The safety groups visit, not just in your district, but step outside your boundaries, because at the end of the day, they're all our schools, all of them. So with that said,
Just the land check.
How about when you send out a call report, let us know how many students are in each program?
Yes.
We have that number also.
okay. That's great point, thank you. Trina, can we make sure we sort of orange that feels?
We get yellow.
Yeah.
And just one more thing,
Yes.
just to let you know, there is one highly motivated board member on this board. Pretty good looking too, but Seymour Johnson will be having a recruitment effort for this particular subject on Wednesday.
Okay.
So they're going to be looking at the folks who will be transitioning into retirement. They do these efforts about once every month or two. And so that's going to be one of the main focuses on Wednesday at the recruitment effort
And where's it?
at Seymour Johnson.
Okay.
Just to let you know. Do what? No, ma'am. No, this is the Air Force retirement segue. And so these are active members who are getting ready to retire out. They'll be meeting with some folks to talk about the JROTC.
We go out recruiting teachers, can we recruit 2 teachers from there?
You might. You never know.
Open. Have to open.
Can I drive the bus? So schedule upcoming meetings and important dates, policy committee meeting Wednesday, modification regular book.
Yeah.
Wednesday at 4 o'clock, November 9th. Administrative service and committee meetings on Monday, November 28th. Student services, the 28th, academic services, 28th, and December's work session, Monday, December 5th at 5 o'clock, and the board meeting at 6:30. Any other questions or discussions before we adjourn this meeting? If nothing else that will call the attention of this board, I would say one thing before I go out. Remember to go out, cast your votes. Tomorrow is the last day for voting. It's adjourned.
No, what? Okay. But I just had an update, like, the cross, they do, like, when they did this. Yeah, so I think that like.
And I got one that,
Adopted and shucks and children and they're so, yeah, because that's the one we don't have to worry about. We don't need to worry about. That other one where they're done. And then for those. I would, no, I guess actually they're not gonna get a committee, so I can take.